up and down and do what we're best at. And I'm just so proud of these guys. Fought, clawed, been fighting through adversity all season.
In a highly anticipated matchup that marked the return of Caitlin Clark from a groin injury, it was Veronica Burton who stole the spotlight with an exceptional performance that propelled the Golden State Valkyries to a decisive 80-61 victory over the Indiana Fever on Wednesday night, effectively snapping Golden State's two-game losing streak and reaffirming their position as a formidable contender in the league. Burton, often underrated in the wider media discourse when compared to superstar names like Clark, stepped up under the spotlight and delivered a near-flawless performance, shooting an incredible 5 VOX from beyond the arc and finishing with a stat-stuffing 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Her command of the floor, her court vision, and her ability to stretch the defense with consistent perimeter shooting created endless problems for the Fever, whose defensive rotations lagged and failed to contain the Valkyries' offensive ball movement. Burton's energy on both ends of the court set the tone for the game early on and remained relentless throughout, often acting as the catalyst for Golden State's key scoring runs. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year, and a central figure in the Fever's long-term aspirations, struggled to find rhythm in her return after a 5-game absence due to injury, playing just 25 minutes. Clark managed 10 points and 6 assists, but was visibly lacking her usual explosiveness and timing, shooting just 4 of 12 from the field. Her signature deep-range shooting was off the mark, and the defensive attention she drew didn't translate into efficient offense for Indiana. It wasn't just Clark who faltered. The Fever as a whole had an uncharacteristically poor shooting night. Star guard Kelsey Mitchell, typically Indiana's most consistent scorer, was held to just 12 points on an inefficient 3 of 13 shooting display, missing several open looks that she would normally convert with ease. Aaliyah Boston, the reigning Rookie of the Year before Clark and a cornerstone of the Fever's frontcourt, was similarly ineffective, converting only 2 of 8 field goal attempts and contributing a mere 6 points in a game where her presence in the paint was sorely needed but largely absent. This collective offensive breakdown proved fatal for Indiana, who had entered the game with renewed momentum after winning 3 straight contests even in Clark's absence. That momentum quickly evaporated as Golden State capitalized on every Fever misstep. The Valkyries, who had themselves been mired in inconsistency leading up to this game, found a new gear both offensively and defensively. Kahleah Thornton was another major contributor to Golden State's resurgence, putting up 18 points and 8 rebounds while connecting on 4 of her 10 attempts from long distance. Her hustle on the boards and versatility in transition provided a critical secondary scoring option behind Burton. Golden State's coaching staff, recognizing Indiana's offensive stagnation, adjusted defensively by applying tight perimeter pressure and closing off driving lanes, which forced Indiana into low-percentage jump shots and stagnant half-court sets. Early in the second quarter, the Fever appeared to be in control, leading 30-23 and showing glimpses of offensive rhythm, but their fortunes took a nosedive as they began missing shot after shot, ultimately misfiring on 10 of their final 11 field goal attempts of the half. That cold stretch opened the door for a dominant Valkyrie surge, an 18-2 run that spanned the final minutes of the second quarter and sent Golden State into halftime with a commanding 41-32 lead. It wasn't just the numbers that told the story, it was the visible frustration on the faces of Indiana's players and coaching staff, unable to halt the bleeding or generate high-quality looks. Meanwhile, Golden State's bench erupted with energy on every made 3, every rebound, and every hustle play, feeding off the crowd and building momentum that would carry into the second half. Burton continued to lead by example, constantly in motion, creating space off screens, and communicating with teammates to orchestrate crisp offensive sets. For Indiana, the second half brought no reprieve. Despite Clark's attempts to spark a comeback with several sharp passes and a couple of mid-range buckets, the Fever remained disjointed and overly reliant on isolation plays that played right into Golden State's defensive scheme. There was a lack of ball movement, a hesitation in shot selection, and an overall energy deficit that seemed to grow with each missed opportunity. Even when Indiana tried to speed up the tempo or push in transition, Golden State's defensive discipline prevented them from converting easy looks, often forcing turnovers or contested finishes. The Valkyries, on the other hand, maintained composure and continued to execute their game plan to near perfection. They spread the floor, moved the ball with precision, and took full advantage of Indiana's defensive lapses. Every time the Fever showed signs of life, Golden State responded with a three-pointer, a putback basket, or a timely steal that snuffed out any hope of a rally. This wasn't just a game won by superior shooting, it was one with preparation, cohesion, and a collective determination to prove that they could rise to the occasion in a big game, even against one of the league's most hyped players. The win improved Golden State's record to 10-9, nudging them ahead of Indiana, who fell to 9-10, and sending a strong message to the rest of the league that the Valkyries are capable of beating elite talent when they're locked in on both ends. As for the Fever, the loss raised fresh questions about their depth, their ability to win with Clark on the court versus without her, and how quickly they can recalibrate to get back into playoff contention. While Clark's return was the headline entering the night, it was Veronica Burton's breakout performance on both ends of the court that rewrote the script, serving as a reminder that in the WNBA, stars can rise from anywhere, and games are won not just on talent but on grit, teamwork, and execution in the moments that matter most.
We've raised a lot of money for charity, not just this year, but over $1 million over the 5 years to 501c3 charities. So
Golden State steadily widened its lead throughout the second half, showcasing a balanced combination of defensive intensity, offensive rhythm, and team cohesion that overwhelmed their opponents as the game wore on, creating a commanding narrative of control and domination that unfolded in real time on the hardwood. The shift in momentum became crystal clear late in the third quarter when Veronica Burton, the dynamic guard known for her high basketball IQ, defensive prowess, and growing offensive versatility, seized the moment with unwavering confidence. Her performance wasn't just a statistical highlight, it was a clinical demonstration of timely execution. During a pivotal 9-0 run that shifted the entire tempo and tone of the game, Burton scored 7 points, displaying her full arsenal, with pinpoint shooting, aggressive drives, and intelligent spacing. That run pushed the score to 64-50, silencing any early confidence the opposition may have harbored. Burton's command of the floor extended beyond scoring. She orchestrated the offense with composure, finding open teammates, exploiting defensive mismatches, and communicating with precision. This surge not only demoralized the opposing side but also electrified the crowd, turning a competitive matchup into a spectacle of control. And just as the third quarter appeared to settle, Kahleah Thornton, a versatile forward with a reputation for grit and clutch shooting, delivered the dagger. With just under 5.5 minutes left in the period, she calmly drained a long-range three-point, extending Golden State's lead to 73-53. The crowd roared, players on the bench leaped to their feet, and the game, at that moment, appeared to have been decisively tilted. Thornton's shot wasn't just another point, it was a powerful emotional blow to the opposition. The culmination of crisp ball movement, intelligent spacing, and textbook execution. It spoke to Golden State's depth, their mental toughness, and their ability to remain composed even as pressure mounted. Meanwhile, in a separate but equally intense WNBA showdown, the Phoenix Mercury were locked in a fierce battle against the Minnesota Lynx, the league's top team this season, with an intimidating 17-2 record heading into the night, in what would become a thrilling 79-71 victory for the Mercury. All eyes were on six-time All-Star Alyssa Thomas, who turned in what may go down as one of the most important and iconic performances of her career. Known for her unmatched toughness, rebounding instincts, and playmaking, Thomas delivered a masterclass in fourth-quarter dominance. With Phoenix trailing 67-60 with just 5:45 remaining and the game slipping away, Thomas flipped a switch, asserting herself on both ends of the floor, dictating pace and shifting momentum with every possession. Her scoring barrage fueled a ferocious 19-4 Mercury run to close the game, stunning a Minnesota squad that had looked nearly invincible over the previous 4 games. It was during this run that Thomas elevated her game to elite status, hitting key shots, pushing the ball in transition, drawing fouls, and providing vocal leadership to rally her teammates. The game was tied at 71 with just over 2 minutes remaining, and it was then that Thomas made her boldest mark, driving aggressively through the lane to finish a running layup that gave Phoenix their first lead since midway through the third quarter. The arena, which had been anxiously buzzing, erupted in cheers. On the very next possession, she added a smooth turnaround jumper over to defenders, extending the lead to 75-71 and sending the Mercury bench and coaching staff into a frenzy. Still not satisfied, Thomas later hit a graceful 14-foot fadeaway jumper, seemingly defying gravity, to put the finishing touch on her 29-point performance, 12 of which came in the fourth quarter alone. Her composure, shot selection, and mental focus were evident throughout, but especially in those final few minutes when the game hung in the balance. Her stat line wasn't just impressive, it was symbolic of a player fully realizing her leadership role and delivering when it mattered most. But her influence wasn't confined to scoring. She was everywhere on the court, grabbing rebounds in traffic, switching defensively onto smaller guards and bigger posts, and executing intelligent rotations that disrupted Minnesota's offensive rhythm. Adding a beautiful layer of emotional narrative to the night was the debut of Thomas's fiancée, Dana Bonner, who had signed with the Mercury just days earlier and made her first appearance with the team in this high-stakes contest. Bonner, stepping into unfamiliar territory and trying to blend with a new squad, played with poise and passion. In her 26 minutes of action, she contributed a respectable 7 points and 6 rebounds, numbers that don't tell the full story of her hustle plays, defensive contests, and physical presence on the glass. Her chemistry with Thomas was instantly apparent. They communicated effortlessly, ran transition plays in sync, and supported each other through critical stretches of the game. This wasn't just a debut, it was the emergence of a potentially game-changing tandem. Meanwhile, another unsung hero for Phoenix was Monica Chinano, who came off the bench with infectious energy and contributed 13 hard-earned points, including the Mercury's only successful three-pointer of the night. In a game where the team shot an abysmal M416 from beyond the arc, Chinano's make stood out as a rare but crucial moment of perimeter success. Despite the dismal shooting from long range, the Mercury stayed disciplined and focused on attacking the paint, drawing fouls, and crashing the boards. Their ability to adapt, shifting away from a failing three-point game and doubling down on interior presence, was a testament to their flexibility and mental fortitude. Every player bought into the system, stayed within their role, and trusted the process. The final minutes were defined by Phoenix's smothering defense, as they forced turnovers, contested every shot, and denied Minnesota any second chances. The Mercury bench became a wave of energy, feeding off every deflection, every hustle play, and every defensive stop. When the final buzzer sounded, the atmosphere was electric, not just from the fans but from the players themselves, who understood they had just toppled the best team in the league. In the locker room afterward, the celebration was not one of arrogance but of relief, validation, and unity. The win was a statement not just to the league, but to themselves, that Phoenix, with the right focus and execution, can compete with any team in the WNBA. Analysts and commentators began immediately reassessing Phoenix's playoff ceiling, questioning whether Thomas's recent form might signal a deeper postseason run than previously expected. On the flip side, Minnesota was left stunned, having allowed a winnable game to slip away in the final minutes. Head coach Cheryl Reeve, known for her tactical sharpness, admitted during post-game interviews that the team let it slip away, pointing to defensive miscommunications, missed assignments, and a lack of composure under pressure as key reasons for the collapse. The Lynx had entered the game brimming with confidence, riding a 4-game winning streak, and sitting atop the WNBA standings. But in those final 6 minutes, they unraveled. Missed shots, forced passes, and careless fouls highlighted a breakdown in execution that no elite team can afford, especially against a veteran-laden team like the Mercury. For Phoenix, the victory could prove to be a season-defining momentum game that not only shifts their trajectory in the standings but reaffirms their belief in their system, their chemistry, and their leaders. Thomas's performance will surely go down as one of the defining efforts of the WNBA season, not just for the stats, but for the narrative. A leader returning to form, a team finding its rhythm, and a new player stepping into a complicated system and making an immediate impact alongside her partner. As the regular season inches closer to its most critical stretch, both the Mercury and the Lynx will carry the lessons of this game forward. Phoenix will look to build on their renewed energy, using this emotional and tactical high as fuel for a late-season surge toward playoff contention. The Lynx, meanwhile, must regroup, refocus, and rediscover the poise that had carried them to league dominance. With the playoffs on the horizon, every game becomes a proving ground, not just for seeding, but for identity, cohesion, and championship potential.